This is the way defining the current crisis is easy. Easy. If you look at what's going on, the tariffs, impacting or imprinting instability on the macroeconomic environment in a way which we have never seen before, all right? That's one way you know you're in the middle of a crisis. Then you got DOGE. They're acting illegally to shut down agencies and to put black people out of work. I'm from D.C., born and raised here. I probably got 20 relatives who work for the federal government. We know that those job cuts are attacking black people mainly. All right, that's how you know they're invalid. They're not about government efficiency. That's the other thing. That's the other argument that we must make. They are about, I'll tell you exactly what's going on. I'll tell you exactly what's happening. The Department of Treasury Payment System database and the Internal Revenue System database from 1913 to 2025 is worth $1.5 trillion. That's what that database is worth. Now, the reason it's worth that much is because you use it to train an AI to determine who to sell stuff to in a very detailed manner. I know if you have a Toyota. If I have the IRS database, I know if you've got a house. I know if you've got an apartment. I know everything about you from a commercial perspective based only on those two databases. That's why they are the most valuable economic databases that the federal government owns. That's what Musk is after. He's not about any of this other nonsense. He wants that data. And the reason I know that, you know why I know that? We tracked them creating a data warehouse in Atlanta, Georgia in November of 2024. A huge one, a big one. We said, why is Musk creating this huge, one of the biggest in the country, data warehouses in Georgia? He doesn't need it for X. X already has data warehouse. Doesn't need it for that, and it was bigger than all of X. That's what he's doing. He's getting that data. So the other reason is the effect on millions of families. Already in D.C., economic activity, consumer confidence has dropped like a rock. Like a rock. That's how you know we're going to have a recession. That gives rise to, looking at problem number 2, social unrest, anxiety, and fear due to racial and ethnic tensions. That's already, again, we're already seeing that. We are in the middle of the crisis right now. We expect that protests will escalate to targeted property destruction, Tesla, and I'll come back to why that's important in a second. Communities are struggling with increased levels of mistrust. That's where organizations like this come into play in terms of tapping down. I see you, Dr. Steele, so where you come into play in terms of tapping down some of that distrust and some of the things that are going on. The changes in tensions affect community health and community health systems. So that's the other thing. That's why they're getting rid of all these health professionals, because they want to create this health crisis, specifically on the black community. Healthcare resources are under extreme pressure, and there's potential for further public pressure. Next slide, please. All right, Trump, no limits. Dude ain't got no cut cards. That's the first thing. Policy decisions are increasingly irrational and unpredictable. There's a potential for extreme measures. So that's where I think we're going. Next slide, please. The economic slowdown that's ahead, Atlanta Fed, God bless that brother down at the Atlanta Fed, who came out and said that the economy was going to fall by 2.8, 2.4% in the first quarter of 2025. Nobody else said that. Fed had not done it. Here's what he's doing. He's saying to Trump, don't F with us, all right? Don't mess with us, all right? I'm a black guy and I'm in charge of the Atlanta Fed. I will take your economy out, all right? So that's what he's saying to him. And as you saw, the stock market fell dramatically because of that. The negative influence on consumer spending is obvious. If you don't know if you're going to have a job, you're not going to spend no money. You ain't going out to dinner. You're going to try to hold on to every dollar that you got, which is the rational thing to do. So the slowdown for us increasingly impacts minority business, black businesses. We have a hard time getting jobs, getting money anyway. The few black businesses that were able to succeed, especially in the Washington, D.C. area, PG County, other areas, hair salons, auto places, now they're facing the slowdown and the shutdown because people don't want to spend. Next slide, please. And the protests may escalate. We're already seeing supposed burnings of Teslas. Now, I don't believe that these burnings of Teslas are legitimate. I think that Musk is doing that so as to create an excuse for the next slide. What they're going to do, as I said in the next slide, Trump may declare martial law. That's the key part of this presentation. And remember, and Thaddeus said that when he said, Bill, I wish I had listened to you when you talked about this stuff last year after you got elected. You said it was going to get bad. I said it was going to get bad in 2016. You know, I just knew that this guy, he's a complete incompetent. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's mentally ill. It doesn't take a PhD in economics from University of Chicago to see what this guy's going to do. So martial law, remember, is the temporary replacement of civilian government by military rule. Now, how do we know this is a risk? Who did he get rid of in the military that might have opposed this? The black chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and he replaced him with some mediocre idiot, retired guy. That's how you know what they are doing. That's how you know. That's how I know how to forecast this thing. So martial law is replacement of civilian government by military rule, typically during emergencies like war, civil unrest, natural disaster, whatever. If you get a continuing increase in the protests against Tesla, Musk will use the burning of Teslas to have Trump declare martial law. Hey, the country's out of control. They're burning my Teslas, you know. That's like, y'all should look up something. Any historians here, the Reichstag fire? And raise your hand if you know what that was about. There you go. All right, so you know what that was the excuse that Hitler used to take over the German government. Somebody burned down the Reichstag, which was the German equivalent of the U.S. House and the Senate. And by the way, it was Hitler who burned it down, you know, and he used that as an excuse to get rid of all civil rights in Germany. So the implications for civil liberties are, of course, obvious. And authoritarian governance is what martial law is. Next slide, please. I'm not bullshitting around about this, all right? There is an absolute risk that black people will be taken to detention centers and camps. Here's how you know that. You know that this is a risk because they just retained some guy who had a green card, right? And people are saying, well, he was a Palestinian immigrant. He's coming at you next. That's the thing. He's seeing how he can get away with this. And then the next thing he's going to do is he's going to pick up U.S. citizens and place them in the case because you said something bad about Trump. Again, I know I'm on a list, you know, and it's recording this and said, thank you for recording this and sending this out. But the bottom line is, look, this is real. I'm not bullshitting around about this. They already have the camps in place, all right? So, and again, this picking up a Palestinian and all this other stuff, oh, it doesn't affect me. No, that's you. They coming at us. So next slide. Oh, no, that was it. Let's go back to that one. All right, so what do you need? Get your ID, get a passport if you don't have it. And there was, you sent me a text from the National Council of Negro Women where they had that strategy outlined, said everybody should get some money, everybody should get their ID. Get about $1,000 in cash, all right? And put that aside, okay? If you don't have 1,000, 500. If you don't have 500, 100. Get something. Because you're going to need some cash if it goes the way that I think it's going to go. And you're going to need your ID, preferably your passport. But they're going to shut that down, too. Kevin and I talk about this often. I'm sure he hates the fact that I'm going to mention this. But when you look at what happened in Nazi Germany, the problem is that when you decide to leave, it's too late. By the time you decide that I'm right, you know, and that this is a fact, you're going to try to leave, but guess what? They're going to shut down the borders on you. They're going to require a new passport on you. Okay, I got 5 more minutes left, so let me roll through this. So those are some of the strategic preparation efforts that I suggest you undertake. Next slide, please. The historical precedents. Y'all know what the deal is. I'm not making this up. Tulsa, you know, New York City draft riots going back to the 19th century, you know. There is plenty of historical precedents for this culture murdering black people. Murdering black people. So don't say it can't happen here. Next slide, please. So again, in terms of, I'm pretty pessimistic. I'm an economist, it's part of what we do. Kevin always reminds me to be a little more optimistic. I'm definitely not optimistic here, but there is a role for proactive policy advocacy, increased individual and community preparedness and vigilance. Again, see the National Council of Negro Women email. If you don't have that, ask about getting that, because it was a very good summary of the steps you can take, you need to take right now in terms of getting that, putting that money aside, getting that ID, having an exit route. Where you going to go? You going to go to Canada, or you going to go to Mexico? Or are you going to go to Bahamas? Are you going to go to Ghana? You going to go to Nairobi? You should think about that. You should start to think about that. And then mobilizing coalitions for advocacy. That is why I am here today. I started not show up. Kevin isn't paying me for this, so, I started not show up. But I said, listen, I got an obligation to the community to help mobilize coalitions for advocacy. And by the way, this is one of the best ones. This is one of the best ones that I've seen. I just came back from Philly yesterday talking to some people. So just to let you know. Next slide. All right. So closing remarks, stay informed. Part of the deal is they talk about flooding the zone. How much time do I have, by the way, young lady? 1 minute? What I got, 2 minutes? 3 minutes, all right, very good. So staying informed. Part of the deal is, and what's his name said that they were going to flood the zone and that they were going to overstimulate people, by just putting a bunch of crap out there and hoping that people wouldn't be able to keep track. You got to do it. You just got to do it. I don't know how you do it. I don't know if you get teams together or have your kids do it or whatever, but you need to watch everything that's going on, all right? Solidarity and strategic action is essential. No more beating up on black people. Oh, black people are so bad. Black people are so stupid. Hey, fuck that. This is not the time to be down on black people. There are enough people who are looking to kill us, right? So we don't need to help them out, all right? Everything positive. And again, I got my issues. 2 minutes. I just beat up on Kevin, but the bottom line is no negativity with respect to black people, And I know it's hard. Say again. We filed a lawsuit on February 3rd to try to block the U.S. Treasury from giving data access to Elon Musk in Doge. That was the first of the lawsuits that were filed. After we filed, then all these other white groups, ACLU, all these other people, they came in and filed, like February 5th, February 6th, but ours was the first one. Now, it got kicked out on jurisdictional grounds. The U.S. Court of Appeals for the D.C. Circuit said, well, we can't do that. We don't have no jurisdiction to be able to. They do. So we refiled again this week. But that's what thank you for bringing it up. Yeah, we filed the first lawsuit to try to force the court to say that Musk and Doge could not have access to that data, because we valued it, again, at $1.5 trillion. We knew exactly what he was doing. Exactly. Get that data, train an AI. You're invulnerable if you do that. That's what he's doing. So, and then, ensure community resilience and equity. Try to ensure community resilience. Again, that's what you guys are doing here. And I'm proud and delighted to be here. So I think that's about it. Next slide. Yeah, that's the last slide. So thank you guys for your work. Please keep it up. This is a difficult time.